Do you ever hear noises in the wind or noises behind an unopened door? Closing your eyes might help for others, but for you, there's always the After Dark podcast. Welcome back, guys, to season numero dos, season number 2, or season 2 of the After Dark podcast with a new background song and new background, of course, new background in your things and new intro. So hopefully you guys liked it. Yeah, friends, welcome to season number 2 of the After Dark podcast. I decided that each season for the After Dark podcast should be just 15 episodes long with a special, which the special is going to be on Halloween. So I'll try my best to find the best Halloween the best Halloween scary stories I can find for you guys. So, yes, Fins, welcome to season number 2, episode 1 or episode 16, however you want to like view it. Okay, so I can't. Okay, so I gotta fix the damn tags because apparently I still don't know how to live stream on Streamlabs, like just podcasts, just like me just recording this, not gameplay. So I'm still using the caveman edition of trying to live stream. So please do, sit around the campfire, feel cozy, bring out the marshmallows and everything, do some s'mores or something. But most importantly, how are you guys? Hopefully you guys are having a really good Tuesday. Hopefully you guys are having a nice evening as well tonight. So, the After Dark podcast. To be honest with y'all, I didn't think I was gonna make a season 2. Like, in my head, I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, friends. Like, in my head, I was like, I don't know how far I'm gonna go with the podcast, because I don't know. I just wanted to do from 1 to 30 episodes, right? Or 31 episodes. But, I was sitting down yesterday night and I was like, I should do like in every show, right? Or any like short show. It should be like around like 12 episodes or so. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do 15 episodes, one season, and then season 2 on the same month with 15 episodes plus the special on Halloween. So Halloween, okay, so right now, I'm thinking the same way you're thinking, friends. I'm gonna have an intro for every new season, 1, and 2, for every special I do for the After Dark podcast, I am gonna have a new intro as well. Now, specials, what I have in mind is, of course, Halloween being the most special one, right? Maybe El Dia de los Muertos, because that's just like a couple, like one day after Halloween. So it's like 30 and then 1st, and then November 2nd is the Day of the Dead. So I'm thinking I might do a special there. Thanksgiving, I'm definitely going to do a special there. And then Christmas, I'm going to do a special there. And then next year, whichever like holiday it lands, I'll definitely do a special there. Yeah, you get me? Hopefully I'm clear enough, because in my head I am clear, but I don't know if I'm not. But yeah, so we get back to these tags. Yeah, like holiday special. That's what I'm talking about. So in front of me right now, I do have a brown book. I wish it was black, but the store didn't carry black. And besides, this has like a wooden texture. I mean, it's not wood, but I like the way it feels and I like the way it looks. And in there, I'm gonna have all my intros to it. So if you guys find this book in general, you know that your boy is in trouble. But yes, I am excited, friends. Hopefully you are too, for season number 2, and then the specials on holidays, the holiday specials pretty much coming along in the near future. So, like I said, let me get these things out of the way, and we'll get ready. Yeah, I am too, Vince. I am too. And also, I am going to be having different background noise and a different layout in front. You know, what I mean, how many bonfires I can find right on Google and just plop them out. By the way, I don't own the image that you see in front of your screen, and like I said in season 1, it's not much of an audio, like a video, but more of an audio. So hopefully, I am coming like loud and clear, like my voice and the chirping in the background isn't as overwhelming. So thank you, Vince. Thank you. Also, if you missed it, Vince, I am also streaming on the Wii U, which means I am also going to be streaming on the Switch, PS4, and Xbox. Oh, you like the quiet ones? Yeah, I mean, it's it's nice. And from time to time, you are going to be hearing some noise in the background. It's just like I said before. I mean, I am in the living room. I don't have my own office, which that would be nice, right? And it's pretty big living room for a one-bedroom apartment. So, oh, the quiet backgrounds. Yeah, I mean, okay. So, while I get this out of the way, while I get these tags out of the way, I will be sharing a story. Not scary story, but just like the way I figured out like what to do on the podcast, pretty much. So in my head, last month, like all throughout last month, I was thinking, what should I do for the After Dark podcast? Like, what am I gonna have in the background? Because like, of course, I want you guys to listen to the story, but what can I put? So I was thinking maybe I should just like record myself drawing something, like something just like a speed paint, like, you know what I mean, like speed painting. And I was like, I don't know if I should, and I didn't even know how to do it back then. So I'm all like, I'm running out of ideas, right? So and then I started recording some gameplay of Overwatch, and then my friend goes like, you know what, you shouldn't have game in the background if you're gonna be making stories. And I was like, you're right. Damn it, what am I gonna do? And of course, this, my little mouse, from like the little cursor, from every now and then you will see popping out from the screen, because my screen turns black from time to time. And yeah, that is pretty much how this came to be, or this like background type of thing came to be. Me trying to trying to keep the focus away from the screen, you know. So let me share this on Twitter and we'll get going. Yeah, I mean, okay, so face cam is another thing that me and my friend tried to go over with before I started this. I'm all like, you know what, like I should have a face cam, but like I said, I am in a living room. I don't have a green screen. One, two, I am in a living room, so there is somebody behind me right now as we speak. And having the face cam would be nice, because I don't mind. I mean, you guys will see how how beautiful I am. Although, how beautiful I am. But, I don't think the person behind me is gonna like the idea of being on YouTube. So yeah, that's what I mean. So let me get this out of the way. We're on Twitter right now, and we will get going with the horror stories we have in mind. Now, I wanted to start off with some urban legends coming from my hometown, or not hometown, but like my how can I put this? Like the other half of me, I guess you can say, because like I did say, I am Latino, I am half Mexican, and if you haven't read any urban legends from Mexico, you're missing out, because they are the best. They're like the best around. Nothing and stuff like that. So, just give me 1 second, and I will be with you in a bit. This is kind of hard doing this with one hand, so I do apologize. So, here we go. Oh, and by the way, YouTube was down earlier, and I do apologize if I ended the live stream, the gameplay live stream, so earlier, so abruptly in the afternoon. But we will get going right now on this YouTube. You did? Ah, that's a good idea actually. Just put like a green background and try to manipulate the camera. Really, I should try that. Like, try to hook up my phone and try to do that myself. Okay, so urban legends from Mexico. Now, Mexico is pretty much pretty old, right? Pretty old, older than we think. But just like in Japan, like the stories that we read like 2 days ago, like the urban legends that we read 2 days ago, in Japan, there are some truth to the urban legends we hear, right? So, in this website, the website's called holidayhypermarket.co.uk, and this article is called Mexico's Most Famous Ghost Stories, okay? And the header goes, for spine-chilling, eerie ghost stories that are guaranteed to make your hair stand up in the end, these from Mexico will most certainly fit the bill. The country steeped in history dating back to the Mayan rule, which started around 2000 BCE. This was closely followed by a domination of the Aztec Empire that lasted until the Spanish invasion of 1519. Now, this isn't a history like a history podcast, but like learning where they're from, learning where the stories come from is really good. Okay, Vince, that's cool, man. Thank you, though, for staying here for at least 15 minutes. I do appreciate you, man. Really do. So, and it continues. Whether it tells of bloodshed, tragedy, or a broken heart, these usually some sort of dramatic ghost stories. And Mexico is no exception to this particular rule. Okay? So, the first story is called The Wailing Woman. Now, this pretty much translates to La Llorona. If you don't know who La Llorona is, thank God, right? Because okay, let's read the story. Okay, so crying for all eternity seems a heavy price to pay, but this is said to be the fate of the Wailing Woman. The story goes that many years ago, a Spanish soldier married a young woman of indigenous descent. The couple lived happily and had 2 children. The problem started when, bowing to pressure from his wealthy family, the soldier left his beloved wife and married a Spanish woman from the Hidalgo class. Such was the fury of the abandoned wife that she drowned their 2 children in a nearby river and then escaped to the forest, where she later killed herself. It said that such was the enormity of her crime that her spirit still roams Mexico searching for her dead children. If you hear a wailing sound in Mexico, it might be the wind in the trees. It might be the Wailing Woman. So, La Llorona, the Wailing Woman, this is not the only story that's behind her, because this says one story, but if you go to another person, they'll tell you something else. Yes, she did drown the kids, but in the process, she drowned herself. Therefore, her spirit comes back and haunts like rivers, right? Yeah. So in this story, she pretty much did go crazy because her husband, cheated on her and married somebody else. So what she do? She drowned her 2 kids and then went to the forest and killed herself. But like I said, if you ask anybody else, they will tell you other versions of the story. Like, for example, like I told you, the one that I know is that she drowned her kids and then later on went on and drowning herself, because she felt guilt. So she killed herself, and then it has to do with like religion, right? So God said, you know what, you can't come up here, and so you're going to be damned for all eternity to be looking for your kids in earth. And that's why you can hear her right now as we speak. So it's not only in Mexico, by the way. She does live within any river, any body of water. I'm not talking about like the ocean. I'm talking about river. So if you do live next to a river, keep your eyes peeled and your ears wide open, right? Because you may never know if you're gonna hear the screeching sounds of a woman looking for her children. Also, in some versions, she is said to take your children. So if you do have children, if you have little brothers or sisters, you know, keep them away from the rivers. Oh, Fins. No. Good luck, Fins. Don't hear her wails. Oh, okay, so this is a story I did tell on season 1, that what happened to me, right? So I used to live in LA, and everybody knows the LA River, right? It's just pretty much a big old river, but it's dried up right now. But every time it rains, it can be filled up. But when I was living back there, I was around like 17, 18 years old, around there, and I would always go to sleep late. Rip Fins 2008. Oh no, Fins. But yes, I would go to sleep late, and late I mean like 3 or 4 in the morning. So one night when I went to sleep like around like 3:30, 3:40, I actually heard someone screaming. Now, when you hear someone screaming in the streets, when like you immediately know that it's a human being because the screams are so distinct, right? The scream that I heard was so unnerving because I just felt like jumping out of my own skin, pretty much. It was crazy. I don't know how to explain it. But Vince, my boy, if you do hear the wail, you'll know because you will want to jump out of your skin too. The next story is called The Island of the Dolls, by the way. Oh, and this one is pretty interesting too. I wonder if this one also has other stories behind it too. Like wherever you ask, the story always changes. So, but it's always the same thing. So, the Island of the Dolls. The tale, that's rather more recent in its origins, it's centered around Mexico City's eerie Isla de las Muñecas. That's Spanish for Island of the Dolls. Isla de las Muñecas. A recluse by the name of Julian Barrera, who lived on the banks of a canal, noticed one day the dead body of a girl floating in the water accompanied by her doll. Barrera claimed that he could hear the screams of the dead girl, and as a consequence, he hanged the doll amid the leaves and branches of the surrounding woodland to appease the spirit of the drowning girl. Others joined Barrera in hanging dolls, and today the trees in the small island is covered by thousands of them, the sheer number of whom presented a spooky appearance. And if you're brave enough to take a walk here at night, you may well hear the whispers of those ghostly dolls accompanying you on your stroll. Ah, no, Vince. Did you tell the kid that you were allergic to peanut butter? Come on, man. That's not fun. Should have been like, smack the peanut butter away from his hand. Get away from me, sir. But yes, the Island of the Dolls. This one actually does exist, and you can actually go to it and walk around the island. Just like as it implants, it has a bunch of dolls hanging from trees, just hanging there, and sometimes even moving. Other creatures like insects and probably maybe some animals are around, but I am pretty sure not only is that there, like are the insects there, but other apparitions might be waiting for you too if you do decide to go to the Isla de las Muñecas. Yeah, it's a pretty creepy picture, Vince. Like, you can Google all these if you want, but the Isla de las Muñecas, the Island of the Dolls, are just very, very spooky. Like I said, if you collect dolls, good for you, but don't always think, okay, this is going back to season 1, okay? I forgot what episode it was, but I did say that the mind creates whatever you think. Exactly, look, see? It's just inedible. So you go to the island and all of a sudden you feel eyes upon you, right? You feel somebody gaze in your direction that you don't even know what's going on or what's happening. But you know, like for example, that one Japanese doll that we read like 2 days ago, I think, on season one. She is said that her hair grows, because she was the doll of a little girl who died a year after the brother gave her that doll. So, and to commemorate her, they named the doll after her, and ever since then, the hair of the doll has been growing nonstop. So, you know, dolls are empty inside, but that doesn't mean nothing can manipulate them, right? This next one is called La Planchada. If you're spending time in a hospital in Mexico City, look out for a ghostly nurse. The words La Planchada, meaning the ironed lady, and the phrase refers to a nurse that has been seen in hospitals around central Mexico. The story relates that to a nurse called Eulalia, who was always immaculately presented when on duty with her crispy ironed uniform. Apparently, Eulalia fell in love with the doctor at the hospital and became engaged. All was proceed well until the doctor left to go to a regular medical seminar held in another city. The doctor failed to return from the seminar, and Eulalia discovered that he had met and married another woman. Poor, El- Poor Eulalia went into a decline and started to neglect both herself and her work. Following Eulalia's death, patients from central Mexico hospitals report seeing a ghostly apparition in the wards. The spectral nurse is said to heal the patients she appeared before. Other versions of the story claim that the original nurse was cruel and consequently doomed to care for patients for all eternity. Vince, thank you so much for coming, man. I'm glad that you enjoyed the first part of the podcast. Thank you. Thank you very much, man. And I hope you enjoyed the intro. And also, there is a new outro. So, if you're around for that, hope you like it too. But yes. Have a good night, Vince. As well. Okay. What is this? Fluento. Okay, so let's Google La Planchada because I have no idea who she is. Apparently she is a nurse. Oh, there she is. Oh, she was pretty. She was very pretty. So she was a nurse that fell in love with the doctor, and all of a sudden the doctor decided to marry somebody else after promising this woman that he would marry her. Wow. Okay, so here is a full story of her. We're going to read it right now. La Planchada, Iron Lady, is a well-known ghost legend in Mexico. In the 1930s, a nurse by the name of Eulalia worked at the Juarez Hospital in Mexico. Her uniform was always very clean and crisp and perfectly ironed. She was very good at her job, and her patients felt lucky to be under her care. But things started to change when a young, handsome doctor joined the hospital staff. Eulalia and the doctor started seeing each other socially, and it wasn't long before she fell in love with him and the two were engaged. Shortly after the engagement, the doctor left to attend a medical seminar. To her shock and surprise, the doctor did not return to the following week. Another week passed, and still no sign of the doctor. Returning, Eulalia became increasingly worried and felt sure something bad must have happened to him. But several weeks later, the hospital received word that of the doctor. It seemed he had met a woman in town that hosted a seminar, and the two got married. Eulalia was heartbroken and fell into a state of depression. Her work began to suffer, and she started neglecting the patients that were under her care. As a result, one of the patients died. Realizing her terrible error, Eulalia became ill. She did not have the fight. She did not have the fight in her to survive, and died shortly after in the very hospital she worked in. Strange things started to occur shortly after her death. Patients, nurse, and even doctors started seeing a nurse in the emergency room area. Some stories state that she appears to glow and float instead of walk throughout the hospital corridors. Others state she appears to walk normal, but no footsteps are ever heard. The staff at the hospital decided to call the apparition La Planchada because she always appears wearing a clean white, perfectly pressed uniform. The reports from the patients are most intriguing. The ghostly nurse will appear at night in the ward on the ward she died in and looks after the patient that appeared to be neglected. In the morning, these patients were well enough to move to the less intensive care rooms. When asked how they feeling, they replied, "A nurse came and healed me." People believe Eulalia returns as a spirit because of the sense of guilt. It seems she's forever doomed to pay for her mistakes in life. There are several versions of the story. In one version, it states that the nurse was a cruel woman who treated her patients badly, so she died. Her punishment was to take care of the patients for all eternity. In another version, Eulalia was never engaged to the doctor. This version states she rejects her advances and marries the woman he was already engaged to. She then takes her disappointment and anger out on the patients, resulting in several of them dying. Either way, you don't want to be in a love triangle because of this. Like I said in season one, people, please do take care of yourselves. I don't want to be reading some urban legends about you guys, in this episode, because who will I read to if you guys are gone? I mean, yes, you will be immortalized in a story, but how would you ever take hold of that fame? So please, don't be in the love triangle, and if you are, stay away from it. It is no bueno. It's being in that. So do take care of yourselves, people. The next story is called the Aztec Cihuateteo. Okay. Yeah. Cihuateteo. I can't pronounce that word. But it says, crossroads can become spooky places at night, especially as many ghost stories in so many cultures have emitted from these places. In Mexico, it's believed that a mysterious Cihuateteo begins haunt crossroads across the country. They are said to be the spirits of Aztec women who died in childbirth. In certain nights of the year, they haunt crossroads in search of children to possess or kidnap, leaving a sacrificial knife as evidence of their activities. Cihuateteos are also blamed for men's adultery and other misbehaviors. They usually have clawed hands and wear golden earrings, a voluminous, multicolored skirt, and a black shirt. If you happen to be wandering near a Mexico crossroad and see a pale-faced creature, be warned. Give me 1 second. ¿Cómo se llamaba las mujeres que agarraron a su papá? Sí, ¿no? O a su... Oh, okay. So they're another thing, but I'm pretty sure they're the same thing. My mom said that her husband was actually attacked by a creature. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but I am pretty sure Cihuateteo are the same thing. Let's Google it, because we don't know what they look like right now. Oh, I see them now. Wow, they are something else. Monstrous from Mexico, the Cihuateteo. Okay. Should we read this this one? Okay. Mexican monstrous is the Cihuateteo. I got to wonder recently whether there are any indigenous succubi legends in the Southwest, the New Mexico, Arizona, Texas region, and by the extension down north in Mexico. I still haven't found any specific to that region, but I did uncover all kinds of dangerous females of legend in Mexico, particularly Aztec mythology. What I found was interesting enough to put aside the succubi search for a while. Monstresses is maybe not quite the right word to describe these beings, terrifying as they are. since many of them are deities. But I like how the phrase sounded. The first installment of this mini series, the Cihuateteo. And if you Google Cihuateteotl, Cihuateteotl, I don't know. It's Aztec, okay? I don't know how to read Aztec. I should have been more prepared. But if you search this in Google, you will find that she is very creepy. Beware of the crossroads on a dark night. You may run into a Cihuateteotl. The Cihuateteotl are the defied spirits of a woman who died in childbirth. In certain nights of the year, their feast days, they haunt the crossroads seeking victims, especially young ones. On those nights, parents tell their children to hide inside, for the Cihuateteo may steal them, leaving only a sacrificial knife in their place. They can cause sickness, paralysis, seizures, or insanity, and sometimes possess their victims' bodies. They have also been known to seduce men, causing them to commit adultery and other sexual misbehaviors. Some say that the legend of La Llorona is based on a Cihuateteo. To placate the Cihuateteo, the Aztecs made them offerings on their feast days, either at their altars or at the crossroads. Bread of the shape of butterflies or lightning of little tamales called, oh, here's a big Aztec word, the su sucuatlamatzoli. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know how to pronounce this word. ¿Cómo se dice esta palabra? Sicua... Sucu...
Jucuchitlan.
Sucuchitlan...
Mazacoligi.
Or, I don't know what that means, but I think it's called tamales. Son tamales. They're tamales. Okay, they're tamales. And toasted corn called another one. Iscuitil. Cihuateteo have pale skeletal faces, chalk white limbs, and claws for hands. They wear gold earrings and horned headdresses, rippled black blouses, white sandals and skirts, embroidered in many colors. By the way, that was my mom trying to read her Aztec language as well. We should all read Aztec. Try to get that language back to life, because very interesting, very interesting. Not a lot of people speak it, and she speaks a little bit, so good for us. But yes, if you do ever go to Mexico and are in the mood to party after dark, you know, you have two options, right? Stay at home, listen to the After Dark podcast under a cozy fire, or meet the Cihuateteo on a crossroads, waiting for her other victim. Maybe you'll be the lucky one and just get possessed to do adultery. But at what cost, really? At what cost will that happen? Okay, so unfortunately, that was all the ghost stories that this website had. So let's go to another one. Oh. This is a ghost. This is a story. Okay, the website is called nimrod.utulsa.edu/archive/awards_38. Let me see the whole thing, please. /met.pdf. So it's a PDF, and it's pretty much a story of some sort, and we will definitely read it right now. Just give me 1 second. I'll put my phone back, and okay. A Mexican American ghost story. by Jennifer Metz, I believe, in honor of Idaho's Mexican Consulate's 2016 traveling exhibit, People Walking in Search of Sunrise, celebrating the 20th anniversary of Jalisco sister state relationship. The exhibit features yarn paintings by Jose Benet Sanchez and swatches, showcases, my bad, the arts of the Hikbol Indians, a people living in a remote part of western Mexico. I wonder if this is going to be a real horror story. Let's read it. As every child knows, the night is full of boogeyman's you can't see. Just beyond the puddle of light, just outside the circle of perception, I lie awake, scrutinizing the borders of darkness. Don't come out, I whisper. Just stay under your bed. Stay on that closet. Leave me be. Wouldn't you know it, they do. And they do. Do nothing. Ghosts are trickier to detect. They are a feeling. They are a shiver and unease. Borders mean nothing to them. The ghosts have no skin. They may have a body. After all, do we even have a body? Or just skin? Counseling opaque skin, who really knows? Skin, however, gives us away. Black, white, yellow, brown. Ghosts have no skin, and they travel north and south. There was an old man who went on a racist rant about how much he hated black people. And when Monique, with braces and cornrow braids, came into the waiting room, he continued his rant. It didn't even register, didn't apply to people he actually knew. It was just something you say, something your parents said, something that's always been said. In this way, words are like our shadows. Our shadows is how we know we have skin. Sometimes ghosts tell stories about us. It is rare. But when one speaks, it speaks of us. This is why we think ghosts are like us, are descended from us. This is why we are afraid. Ghosting is my new favorite cure for insomnia. When an owl calls, I answer, like a child parroting every word just to be obnoxious, like a digital recorder capturing none of the rich tones of vinyl. Real ghosts do not play at copy. They sound like the mountains, so immeasurable, so ageless, that they reject all other opinions in echo. Mountains are true, but lazy. They are wise, but lonely. Like ghosty owls is pointless, like counting clouds, and eventually I drift to sleep. During sex, I like to be on the bottom. Why does no one say this? You always hear people say that they like to be on top. I suppose it's because only people who like it to be on top would brag to strangers about sex. And I suppose only people who'd like to be on top tell others what they like. Like the world really cares. Sex would be easier if there was no top or bottom. If there was no right or wrong. If there was no borders. Sex between ghosts is rampant. People build walls to keep the darkness out, but when they open doors, it is only for a second. And when they open windows, they use screens. Some people don't open windows or doors at all, fear mosquitoes. But still the mosquitoes find their way inside. And meanwhile, these people are prisoners in their own homes. You cannot fear mosquitoes for a mosquito bite. A ghost forces to live outside their own borders will tell you the itching is bearable. The itching is preferable. When darkness falls, this is when we tell ghost stories. We gather around the campfire in a heavy coats in which we will later sleep. We jump, we laugh, we exaggerate our faces with flashlights. We place our hunting rifles nearby in worn off bears coming into the camp late at night, nosing the tent, ill mannered paws on the table, huffing, looking for food, looking to be a rug, my father might say. And when the wind shifts, the smoke back to our side of the fire, after we just got up to move, we cannot see it, but move again. Ghost between us, you say this to mean immeasurable distance, like miles, like we're worlds apart. Even as we kiss, it's like it's physics. No matter how, no matter how small the distance, there will always be ghosts between us. Lying awake in the blanket tied against my chin, I wonder if there are boogeymen just outside of sight, beyond my awareness. I wonder if boogeymen fear the ghost of other boogeymen, or the ghost of boredom. I wonder if the snowy owl ever worries that he sounds as weightless as lint. Old used a blue-gray dust from God knows where. I wonder if our house is really haunted. Do places have skin? And when we leave them, we birth ourselves into a new light, but light nonetheless. Wow, I have never read anything so interesting in my life. And apparently this is just like 3 pages of what seems to be a bigger book, because the pages are marked 122, 123, and 124. Very interesting book. Very interesting. But yes, it does have a point, and I do agree with the story to some extent, of course. But yes, Mexico is filled with different versions of boogeyman, in other words. For example, the boogeyman himself, over there in Mexico, they will call him the sack man, or el señor del saco. The sack man is a figure similar to the boogeyman, portrayed as a man with a sack in his back who carries naughty children away. Let's read about him. The sack man, also called the bag man or the man with the bag or sack, is a figure similar to the boogeyman, portrayed as the man with the sack in his back who carries naughty children away. Variants of this figure appears all over the world, particularly in Latin countries such as Spain, Portugal, Brazil, and other countries of Spanish America, where it refers to as el hombre del costal. El hombre del saco, or in Portuguese, oh boy, homem de saco, all which means the sack man or the bag man. Eastern Europe, and in Eastern Europe, similar legends are found in Haiti and some countries in Asia. Of course. In Spanish, el hombre del saco is usually depicted as a mean and impossibly ugly and skinny old man who eats the misbehaving children he collects. The crime of Gador gave rise to this term because the kidnappers used a gunny sack to carry off the children. In Brazil, oh, homem de saco is portrayed as an adult male, usually in the form of a vagrant, who carries a sack in his back and collects mean disobedient children to sell. In Chile, Argentina, and particularly in the southern and austral zones, it's mostly known as el viejo del saco, the old man with the bag, who walks around the neighborhood every day around supper time. This character is not considered or perceived as a mythical or fantastic creature by children. Instead, he is recognized as an insane psychopathic murderer. that somehow has been accepted by society, which allows him to take a children that has been given to him willingly by disappointing parents or any children that is not home by sundown or supper time. In Honduras and Mexico, misbehaving children fear el robachicos or the child snatcher, which is a very similar to el hombre del saco. In Tunisia and Algeria, misbehaving children are threatened by bochkara, literally mean the bagman, who takes the children to mysterious, scary places. In Armenia and Georgia, children are threatened by the bagman who carries a bag and kidnaps those who don't behave. In Hungary, the local boogeyman, the momos, is known as Zakos Ember, literally the person with the sack. In Poland, children are frightened by the babok, or bobok, or who is also portrayed as the man with the sack. In the Czech Republic and Slovakia, a similar creature is known, bubak. It's a creature with a typical form, connected with darkness and scary places, making children fear, but not taking them away, usually. The character of Zert, the devil, is used for the intent not to be naughty, or Zert will take you away. In Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, Buka Babai or Babaika is used to keep children in bed or stop them from misbehaving. Babay means old man. In Tatar, children are told that Babai is an old man with a bag or a monster, usually hiding under the bed, and that it will take them away if they misbehave. Though he is sometimes depicted as having no set appearance. In Turkey, I cannot read that. Karkit, Turkish Karkit or something like that, means the sack man, also called I'm not even gonna try. I'm sorry. It's portrayed as a man with a sack on his back who carries naughty children away, or eats them, or sells them. Either way you want to view this creature or person, like Krampus in Germany, right? I believe it's in Germany. They all have one thing in common, and they all come for one reason: children that misbehave. Why do you think that is? Have you guys ever read the story about the mom with glass eyes and a wooden tail? Let's see if I could find it. It's a favorite of mine. It's a favorite of mine. The New Mother is called. And well, it's as we were talking about. It takes away children who misbehave. I really want to read the story, but it is so long, dude. Holy God. I just want to find like a synopsis of the story, please. The Drum, I think it's called, right? God, please. Hey, we're back in the story, scary stories, or scary for kids. Oh, okay, this was not long. Okay, so it goes like this. We're gonna read this one. The last story for tonight. Maybe the last story, I don't know. We might keep talking. It's called The Drum. The Drum is a spooky story for kids about two young girls who are promised a reward if they misbehave badly. Hold up, before we go on, let me take a sip of my tea because it is getting cold, and as you guys know, I don't like cold tea when it's meant to be hot. refreshing. Okay. The Drum is a spooky story for kids about two young girls who are promised a reward if they misbehave badly. The story is based on an old folk tale called the Pier Drum. A version of the story appears in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark under the title The Drum. And another version was written by Lucy Clifford called The New Mother. Once upon a time, there were two little girls. The names were Blue Eyes and Turkey. Blue Eyes was named after the color of her eyes, and Turkey after the red dress she wore. They lived in a little house on the moor with their mother and their baby brother, Arthur. Their father was a sailor, and he was always away at sea, traveling to faraway lands. One day, Blue Eyes and Turkey went for a walk upon the moor when they met a gypsy girl playing on a little drum. As she played, a little mechanical man and a woman came out of the drum and danced. Blue Eyes and Turkey were enchanted. They had never seen such an amazing toy, and they begged the gypsy girl to give them the drum. The girl just laughed. I'll give it to you, she said. But only if you are very naughty. Come back tomorrow and tell me how naughty you were. Then we shall see. As soon as Blue Eyes and Turkey got home, they began to misbehave as badly as they could. They started shouting. They spilled their food on the floor. They drew all over the walls with crayons and refused to go to bed. The two sisters did everything they could think of to upset their mother. The next day, they got up early and hurried out to the moor. There, they found a gypsy girl playing with her drum. We were very naughty yesterday, they cried. Can we please have the drum now? Tell me what you did, the gypsy girl replied. So they told her. The gypsy girl laughed. Oh no, she said. You were only a little bit naughty. You're going to have to be far worse than that if you want this drum. As soon as the sisters got home that day, they were as naughty as they could be. They threw their cups on the floor, they tore their clothes, and they even walked on the mud up to their knees and pulled up flowers from the garden. They also let the pig out of the pen and let it run away. Their mother was even more horrified than before by their behavior. If you don't stop this, she said,